Hello, I'm John Furrier with theCUBE. Here in theCUBE's New York City NYSE studio, of course, we have our Palo Alto studio connecting Wall Street and Silicon Valley. We have a special presentation here on the Modern Private Cloud, a secure foundation for production AI. And we have two returning CUBE alumni from Broadcom and VMware, where they have continuing momentum from a year ago when we talked here. We got Paul Turner, Chief Product Officer, the VCF division at Broadcom, VMware, and Prashanth Shenoy, VP of Product Marketing at VCF, Broadcom, VMware. Gentlemen, welcome back for this featured series. Again, as you're kicking off more private cloud, the modern era is upon us. Good to see you.
Yes,
yeah.
Very good to see you.
Good to be here, exciting time.
You know, a year ago, you guys had that big milestone with VCF, bringing everything together. Now that's 1 year in, a lot's going on. What's driving the momentum? Let's start there. What is the key success now that you're seeing, and what's changed since last year when we kicked this off?
Well, I think most interestingly, it's two letters. It's AI. What we're really seeing is this huge opportunity, I think, for AI is driving a couple of factors. It's driving one, great opportunity given that I can get, if you look at a PwC report, they say you can get 27% better revenue opportunity if you're an AI-enabled industry. That is pretty powerful. So there's compelling reasons of why people are adopting AI. But one of the things that they need is that the platform that runs AI must be better. And that's what's driving VCF adoption today. And if you think about it, it's because of the risk and the cost. AI is also a risk and cost multiplier. So just think about a few stats. 73% of enterprises see AI-related attacks. I mean, just think about that. That is almost every industry out there is actually seeing these new attacks that are driven by AI-enabled software. So that is a very scary thing. It's like a Pandora's box. And the second thing that we're really seeing happen is AI is actually a cost multiplier because it's increasing the cost of infrastructure. And it's not just the cost of the infrastructure to run GPU-enabled infrastructure, and let's do what we did with CPUs, let's virtualize them. Of course, that's the most obvious answer. Bring down the cost of the infrastructure. But it's also the cost it's driving, lack of fab capacity. You're seeing increased costs in just server infrastructure overall. And so we've got to look differently at how we virtualize, not just GPUs and CPUs, but also how we virtualize things like memory. And so, AI is the driver for what's happening on VCF and the adoption that we're getting. It's a driver because of opportunity for companies to actually deliver more productive AI that works in conjunction with their existing application footprint and builds off their application footprint. And it'll build towards an agentic AI future that all companies, I think, will deliver. But the second is the security aspect of security and the cost aspect of running AI. You've got to deal with the risks that AI can expose as well.
That's consistent with the trends we're seeing. Obviously, you mentioned revenue, a lot of focus on AI driving revenue, not just cost takeout, good call out there. But the cost piece, it's not just the cost of the software or the cost, it's the cost of what you get wrong. If it's secure, or it gets hacked, that's a cost. If you have the bad data, it's a cost. So I have to ask, how are those trends translating into the momentum of VCF? Because you guys address a lot of this. In this 1 year, the execution of this has been key. We're seeing a lot of private cloud on premises.
Yeah.
How do these trends translate into momentum?
Well, I mean, and everything is based on that, right? So is it translating? It's actually the fastest release ever for VCF adoption. We have more than 2,000 customers already deployed, very accelerated deployments. And I think part of that is driven by this AI impact. And the AI impact driving, I've got to get more efficient on the infrastructure. I've got to get more secure for the infrastructure. And I've got to be able to run AI applications in a very highly efficient way. And honestly, on AI, the cloud-based AI that we've been used to for so long, tokenomics. I mean, it is getting very, very expensive to start running services. And companies are suddenly seeing the cloud answer to AI is not the right answer to run production AI at scale and inferencing AI, what I call inferencing, which is really the runtime of your day-to-day operations. You will not run that on the cloud because of the cost of operations. You can run it more efficiently, just like you can the rest of your infrastructure on a private cloud environment. So fastest momentum ever, more than 2,000 customers. That's a stat from a month ago. We're seeing continued acceleration. I think part of that is driven also by Anthropic and what's happening in terms of frontier model threats. So big momentum.
Now that you've recently announced the news, and there's a lot going on, what is the key highlights around the innovation of the new VCF?
So I'll touch a couple of things that I'm really excited about. Like it makes a huge difference to our customers when we save them money. And at the end of the day, we do a lot to make a platform. You're going to hear more about how we make the platform powerful for AI. But it's also very important that we make it cost effective, that we virtualize, that we provide the best platform possible. So I'll just give you something that's kind of cool. Nobody else can do it. The ability for us to tier memory, to take NVMe drives and use them as an extension of your DDR5 memory. And we can actually take that. And if you do a cost economics study of that, and you look at a 2-terabyte server, let's say, that 2-terabyte server with DDR5 is going to cost you $118,000. That's pretty damn expensive. And most of it is memory cost. By just tiering your memory and doing NVMe, which is unique to us because of the way we work as a virtualization plane, we can actually go and safely tier your memory and bring the cost of that server almost down in half to $69,000. Massive savings. But it's not just a savings on infrastructure. That's what we do in virtualization. It's also a cost savings when you look at, I should run one platform for virtual machines and containers. And you probably think, well, why is that so important? Well, I've got my existing applications that all, for the most part, run on VMs, and my database, my data-centric applications will run on VMs. And that's where my data lives. But I want to combine that with AI-enabled applications. I want to even drive agentic AI applications over time. The natural place it's going to be is you're going to do that as an extension of your application footprint. And to do that, you run it on the same platform. And by running your VMs and container platform on exactly the same platform, you get a 46% cost savings for running that infrastructure on a total cost of ownership basis. So there's lots of cool things in the platform, but I love going back to what VMware has always been known for. We're about virtualization, we're about saving cost, and of course, doing it on a secure private cloud, and truly secure private cloud. But, virtualization, cost savings, who can complain about that?
Yeah, it's good. And by the way, what's changed a lot in the past year is the price of memory. So the memory tiering becomes super important when you want to run workloads with certain AI stacks that could leverage that. So, good call out there.
It's not just the cost of memory, being quite honest with you. It's the cost of the overall server. The memory was the first driver factor. The server overall has become, just much more important to virtualize at scale. So what it's driving is what I like to call, virtualization is cool again. Because it truly is back into the world of what we do well, which is great to see.
And what's cool is not only virtualization, it's the AI infrastructure and the things you mentioned, more compute and the more configurations. And I think this is, to me, the rise of the private cloud again. It never really went away, but now the importance of private cloud is out there. You guys just released your second edition of the Private Cloud Outlook Survey. It looks like the things are continuing to drive momentum. We're seeing, all the data on premises, that's the gold. A lot of focus on more tokens, more AI, a lot of more engagement. Prashanth, talk about that piece, because this is the private cloud's moment to scale even further.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue, John. Last year when we did the Private Cloud Outlook study, there was a definitive cloud reset happening in the market, right? Where private cloud and the operating model of private cloud to run your mission critical workload on premise or in a hybrid environment was on par with public cloud. And that was mainly because of the 3 C's that we mentioned: the cost, the complexity, and the control aspect of it. Fast forward to this year when we did the same survey with 1,800 IT leaders and decision makers around the globe. 2 points coming back again is AI tipping point. Why? Because a lot of organizations are now moving their AI applications from like a pilot phase of trying to production, doing it at scale. And when you do run inferencing at scale, the cost, the security, the control aspect just explodes by an order of magnitude. And that's why we are seeing a resurgence of private cloud, where a lot of organizations are choosing private cloud to be the de facto preferred platform for running their production AI workloads. whether it's inferencing, whether it's rack kind of use cases, and making their existing applications AI smart and AI ready.
Production AI workloads at scale, that's the table stakes. You know, it's interesting enough, these models, people are using them and they're having success, but when you say, I got to run it through my whole company, that's an infrastructure. That's, you know, that's global IT. So it's interesting to see that private cloud is where the AI goes because you need to enable that through an infrastructure. This is where AI is heading.
Yeah.
Is private cloud, because all the actions on-prem and models have crawled the internet.
Yeah.
You got the cloud for cloud workloads, but it's not just some small repatriation. There's actually growth.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in the survey, we got around 56% of the organizations were picking private cloud to be the model for running their production AI, right? And in fact, in the same vein, when we look at the public cloud trend, it dropped by 15 percentage points to 41%, right? So there's a definitive shift in the way customers and organizations are looking. And this is very relevant to the data privacy, data compliance, data control, security, and compliance aspect of it, because they want to bring the models to their data and not the other way around. And that's one of the key reasons why we are seeing that resurgence and accelerating the momentum of private cloud for production AI workloads.
Yeah, private cloud seems to be the preferred method for the on-premises, but also you got to build in security. A lot of those crown jewels is in the data. Is this about security? Take us through the security piece of this, why that's important. You said secure workloads, secure AI.
Absolutely. I think security is pretty much one of the most important concerns in the world of frontier AI models that we're going to talk a lot more around. And two big data points emerged that pretty much the two top challenges for production AI are data privacy control and security and compliance. 1/3 of the customers and the organizations that we surveyed cited that as pretty much the key concern, right? And that's very, very critical because the IP that organizations have is their data, right? And we want to make sure that you can still gain that opportunity and the revenue that Paul was talking about, but with that cost benefit and the security benefit. So that's where I think the shift is happening.
You know, it's interesting. We've been doing theCUBE, this is our 17th year, and you know, even our first year, word private cloud, I think one of the slogans was journey to the private cloud. If you think about it, that was 17 years ago. Now it's prime time. And also in the past, I'd say year, I've probably said the word governance or heard the word governance on theCUBE more in 1 year than all 16 other years combined. And that is really points to the data piece of this. What does this tell us about the enterprise market right now? I mean, obviously, when you hear governance kicked around, that means there's a linkage with the infrastructure. How does this tell us the relationship between the public and private cloud? Because now you have, you know, that distributed computing paradigm, full throttle, mainstream. Does it just say? Do you just say cloud? What's the distinction? What does the data tell us about from the enterprise perspective between public and private cloud?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, there's the security governance aspect from a data perspective that we are talking about, but we see for the first time cost taking over as a major concern compared to security when people pick private cloud over a public cloud operating model. And the reason is very clear. It's tokenomics. It's what Paul mentioned, right? So the cost predictability of fine-tuning the model and running inferencing, when you don't have clear observability, predictability, and usage of your AI infrastructure, as well as the tokens that you use for running inference, is being a primary factor. In fact, these organizations that we surveyed, 97% of these organizations said that they're having public cloud spend wastage. So these organizations are fundamentally saying, 97% of these organizations are saying that they're seeing a majority of their public cloud spend being wasted, with half of them saying over 25% of their spend is wasted. So that points to a very clear angle that they are wanting more and more cost predictability and cost transparency as we move towards inference and production workloads. And that's where we are very, very focused on making VCF the most secure and cost-effective platform for organizations to run their production AI.
We're seeing a lot of tokenomics conversations around those costs. People recently are like meeting their budgets on tokens and then just getting started. So that points to AI workloads and teams building and operating workloads. They want unlimited tokens. Why do I want to pay for tokens when I can get them for unlimited? Buy a big machine, put it on premise, run that private.
Yeah.
This is a huge thing. This is not saying, hey, I'm going to just move from cloud to on-prem, because the models are involved, right?
Yep.
Why would you want to pay for tokens when you can give someone, hey, here's a zillion tokens, here's your context window? That's happening on-prem, because the data's there, the people are using it. This speaks to the adoption of generative AI infrastructure. What's your reaction to that? Paul's nodding his head too.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where we are seeing some major momentum for the VCF9 platform. The first major release that we made last year, we've seen tremendous momentum. Over 2,000 customers deploying the VCF9 major release. And this has been the fastest ramp of any major release of the platform that we've seen since the inception of VCF. So this has been great in terms of the reception, the excitement, and the interest that organizations are showing as they move their workloads, their mission critical and their container workloads to run on private cloud.
Yeah, and I just want to add in a little here, because it's something you mentioned, John, that I think is interesting. Imagine a customer had unlimited tokens. That's essentially what you get. You get this incredible power that I'm GPU dependent, but you know, a GPU and today's GPUs, I can actually run a fairly big 70B parameter model on actually a single GPU. Generally, people will run it with a 4 GPU server, an 8 GPU server, run a small little cluster of them. My infrastructure is not super costly to actually put in place. I have unlimited tokens on that. I've got this ability to just ramp and run the infrastructure at scale. The way that the charging model has gone for public cloud AI, I think has really got to a point, and you're going to see it over the next, I think you're already seeing it in many companies, but certainly over the next 6 months, you're going to see a real revisionist history here happening, which happened before on the public cloud, where we said everything's going to go to the public cloud, and we said, oh gosh, I can actually do it more efficient on my private cloud. The same thing is happening on AI, and that's happening over the next 6 months.
And that's awesome. They become builders, operators, and investors by default, because they're going to want to save that money and put it towards projects.
That's
the way
exactly
the CFO
right.
and the CIO and the builder all in one.
Yeah,
it's been great to have you on. Congratulations. There's a lot of hard work involved. We covered that last year. Now the new release. VMware has come a long way under Broadcom, guys. So talk about that change that's been overdue. You got the consolidation of the platform. What is the future of VMware under Broadcom? It's a question everybody wants to know about. Yeah. Give us an update on the innovation and the action.
Yeah, I think the pace of innovation that we have done as part of Broadcom in the last 3 to 4 years has been amazing. I think I've had a few gray hairs, Paul has had a few more, I'm guessing. But it's been awesome to see that momentum and the customer adoption of VCF9 platform. As we continue, I think the pace of innovation is just going to increase even more. And there are 3 big reasons, and you're going to see us talk a lot more about this at Explore in August. Number 1, how can we continue to help our customers manage the hardware supply cost crisis that Paul talked about, right? And all the innovations around that at the infrastructure level as well as the infrastructure services level. Number 2, frontier AI models has completely changed the security landscape. The vulnerability, the volume, the velocity of vulnerabilities that we are finding in our software and open source packages is by far never seen before, right? So how do we help our customers harden their infrastructure and make them secure and cost effective? It's the second area of innovation and continuous innovation you're going to see. And 3, every organization is making their application either AI smart or AI native application. So how do we, and most of these are containerized applications. So how do we help our customers run their existing business critical and their containerized AI smart application on the same platform at scale for production in a highly cost-effective manner? So all the innovations around that. So these are the 3 buckets where you'll see us really focused on, and you'll see talking about that at Explore.
Paul, you're the chief product officer of VMware. Give you the last word. What is the future VMware under Broadcom. You get the keys to the kingdom. Give us a taste.
So first off, I'd be crappy at operations. I'm very good at innovation. That's me. I'm an innovator. I think that we talked about the core platform work that we've done on security, on virtualization is cool again, and how much we're changing kind of the core platform and bringing TCO value for the customers. But this is about AI infrastructure. This is about the AI platform of the future. We're not building for a data center of today or tomorrow, but for what's happening in 4 or 5 years' time. And that is an AI-enabled data center. And so I think in that space is where we're driving all of the innovation, is how can we help customers use AI to actually run the platform more efficiently, but more importantly, how can they drive productive AI applications? How can they deliver an agentic AI platform with the ability to extend their application footprint, to be able to run agents at scale, to be able to run them securely, to be able to do lockdown mode, to be able to sandbox agents. All of those services are exactly where we're building innovation. And as part of that, one of the things I love hearing from customers. And I think one of the most interesting is when you hear their experience, because it tells us also where we can innovate on the platform next. So I'd love to actually introduce up Chris Wolf, who's got one of our partners, ThinkOn, who's been implementing a whole AI infrastructure on VCF, and hear it from them. Because you hear from the customer, you actually hear where innovation is going. And next steps, you're going to see us build on this agentic AI platform of the future. More to come on that. We've got a big event coming up, and you'll hear a lot more at that.
Awesome. Well, great to have you guys on the Modern Private Cloud, a secure foundation for production AI. More data centers are coming, plural. Now, of course, you got the hyperscalers expanding with neo clouds, so customers are going to be putting together their architecture for this modern era, and the Modern Private Cloud to keep things secure, certainly on the top of the list. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming back on theCUBE and sharing the updates, and we appreciate it.
Sure, John. Thanks a million.
Thank you.
I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. We'll be back with more coverage of this important area of modernizing the current business model, which is AI, and you need the foundation for production AI. Thanks for watching.